Yes, he's a very degreed man at the University of Chicago, no less, one of the best schools out there. But what's most important for you to take away from the bio is that although he has this degree from the University of Chicago, and he can go anywhere, and I mean anywhere in the world with the degree from the University of Chicago, he's chosen to make Chicago his home. And he's been here for the better part of 50 years. And he stayed in Chicago, committed to Chicago, to fighting social injustice and working on the betterment of our city. And for that, we're ever so grateful. So as you read his bio, don't just take away the fact that he's an educated man. Take away the fact that there is someone who cares, who's committed, and staying connected to the community. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. José López to the podium.
So let me begin by thanking your wonderful principal, Marcy, and Judy Vasquez for inviting me to be part of this incredible moment. Let me say that Marcy's comments about you being alive is obviously an incredible testament of who you really are. You are the class of 2015, but more importantly, you have made history. You are history makers. And why do I say that? I say that because you have been the product of the work, of the incredible work that Marcy Sorensen, as the educational leader of Roberto Clemente, has practiced. She took a school that was 19 years in probation, and today Clemente is an IB school with the highest standards of any school in the United States. We mark history, and I'm a historian, by BC and AD. Well, at some point, when people talk about and write about the history of Roberto Clemente Community Academy, this class will be the historical marker of the history of the transformation of Roberto Clemente High School. This year, as a matter of fact, on June 10th, Chicago will celebrate in a very simple way, I think, the life of a man who lived just down the block from Roberto Clemente High School, who went to Tully High School, the precursor to Roberto Clemente, the high school that I graduated from in 1968, and I am so privileged to see these young people with the white gowns on, because almost 20% of your class is a National Honor student. That's amazing. So, for this man, Saul Bellow will be celebrating his 100th anniversary. A controversial writer, grew up in Humboldt Park from Jewish immigrant parents who came here in the 1920s, went to Tully High School, ultimately ended up teaching at the University of Chicago. This man, Saul Bellow, wrote that I am an American, Chicago-born, Chicago, that somber city, and go at things as I have taught myself, freestyle, and will make the record in my own way, first to knock, first to be admitted, sometimes an innocent knock, sometimes a not so innocent. But a man's character, as his fate says Heraclitus, and in the end, there isn't any way to disguise the nature of the knocks by acoustical works on the door or the gloving of the knuckles. You, the class of 2015, you are going to do it your own way. You will use your own freestyle, and you will make the record in your image and the way you want it, with your own knocks and no one else's. Saul Bellow also wrote, "Tell me where you come from, and I will tell you what you are." Listen to this. Tell me where you come from, and I will tell you what you are. Many years ago, a man by the name of Viktor Frankl, who was in the concentration camps, wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. This book was about, he tried to sort of understand the life of people inside of the concentration camps. And he says there were three types of individual in those concentration camps. And he focused, obviously, he was Jewish, so he focused on the Jewish members in those concentration camps. And he said there were this group, these individuals, who would give up and literally die. There was another group that did everything in order to survive, but became worse than the SS guards. They would actually be the ones who would be tasked with taking the Jews into the gas chamber and then getting the rewards. If they had gold teeth, they would be given the gold teeth or the shoes, whatever that person had that was of value. And then he found another, and he identified another set of individuals. And this set of individuals, nothing could be done to them. Absolutely nothing. And then he came upon a quote that said, "He who has a why to live for can meet almost anyhow." And what was this, he who has a why? What is this idea of meaning for Viktor Frankl? And he found that it was those Jews who had the deepest sense of their Jewishness who were able to survive the concentration camps. And there was nothing that could be done to them to break their spirit, because they had a will to live, driven by the idea of he who has a why to live for can meet almost anyhow. You, the students of Roberto Clemente, you have a why to live for. Dig deep into your history. Dig deep into those messages that your grandparents sent you and your grandmother sent you through their lullabies, through their little sayings. Dig deep into your African American heritage, because African Americans taught us what it is to be resilient, as your principal spoke about. They lived 300 years in slavery, and yet they became the proudest people on this continent. And I mean on this continent, from the southernmost tip of South America to the northernmost tip of North America. Black people on this continent have defined this continent. You would not have a steel band without the rhythms of Africans from the Caribbean. You would not have a Roberto Clemente as an incredible player as he almost danced in the field and became one of the greatest baseball players that history has ever known. That was deep rooted in his Africanness. You Mexican and Latino students, dig deep into your history. Mexicans, Octavio Paz once wrote, are product of layered memories. Mexico City was built on the top of Tenochtitlan. The Spaniards thought to erase the historical memory of the Mexica people. And on top of that, built Mexico City. And he says, Mexico City was built on top of Tenochtitlan, the capital of the Aztec Empire. Tenochtitlan was built in the likeness of Tula, the great Toltec people's capital. And Tula was built in the likeness of Teotihuacan, the greatest city in the Americas. Dig deep into your historical roots and discover that resilience of the Mexican people. For those other Latinos, seek also deep into your roots so you can find that your humanity is defined by the incredible mixtures of hundreds of different people. We are la raza cósmica. To the Puerto Rican students, I say to you, we have a long history. We have a history that obviously has challenged all kinds of adversity. We created Paseo Boricua with those flags that now demarcate for 20 years. We set into motion the very revival of Division Street. I came to Division Street in 1959, and we have transformed that into one of the most beautiful spaces that all Puerto Ricans are proud of. You have been part of that. Your parents were part of it. Your grandparents were part of it. Now we face a great challenge, and that is the challenge of displacement and gentrification. And there are people that will say that they bring progress and they will bring wonders to our community. No, you will bring wonders. You will bring progress. You will be indeed the future of our community is in your hands. You are the masters of the designs that will create the magical urban experience which will define the future of a Chicago, which is truly a world in the city, a world in the city, a world in the city, meaning that we will have many languages, many cultures, many people sharing and caring and loving each other. That is what you take as you enter your new level in life. That is what informs NIB instruction, a world-class instruction framed within the context of the highest standards. They will become the best doctors, the best lawyers, the best nurses, the best chefs, the best everything, and you will come back and you will transform and continue to transform our community. You will bring new dimensions to our situation. To you belongs, obviously, the future of our community, the future of this city, the future of the world. For you will understand that he or she who has a why to live for will meet almost anyhow. Thank you.